Most businesses don't fail because the product is weak. They fail because the structure can't carry the growth the founder is trying to create. And that distinction matters more than most people realize. Because founders tend to focus on improving performance, improving sales, improving marketing, improving execution. But performance doesn't determine scalability. Structure does. Structure determines whether growth compounds or collapses. And this is where most businesses quietly hit a ceiling without understanding why. The business works, customers are buying, revenue is increasing, but everything still depends on the founder. Decisions depend on the founder. Relationships depend on the founder. Momentum depends on the founder. Independence creates friction. Friction slows growth, and slow growth eventually stops altogether. Not because demand disappeared, but because the business was never designed to operate independently. And I've seen this pattern repeat over and over again. I'm Justin Kaiser, and over the last 24 years, I've built, scaled, and exited multiple businesses, including building a franchise brand from scratch and scaling it to over 100 franchise territories before an acquisition. And one of the clearest lessons from that experience is that scalability isn't created by effort, it's created by architecture. Architecture determines whether the business expands through systems or through the founder's personal involvement. And systems scale. Personal involvement doesn't. Because personal involvement has limits, time limits. Attention has limits. And every business that depends on one person eventually encounters those limits. And when it does, growth slows, stress increases, and complexity compounds. Because complexity is the natural byproduct of growth without structure. Every new customer adds demand. Every new employee adds coordination. Every new opportunity adds decisions. And decisions create load. Load must be carried somewhere. And if the structure isn't designed to carry it, the founder carries it instead. And founders are capable. They adapt, they compensate, they step in and solve problems. That works in early stages. It works when the business is small enough to manage manually, but manual systems create bottlenecks and don't scale. Bottlenecks define the ceiling of the business because growth can only move as fast as the slowest decision point. And in most businesses, that slowest decision point is the founder. This is why some businesses expand cleanly while others struggle at the same revenue level. It isn't effort, it isn't intelligence, it's structure. Structure determines independence. Independence determines scalability, and scalability determines enterprise value. Because enterprise value is created when a business produces results without depending on one person. Investors don't pay premiums for effort. They pay premiums for independence. They pay premiums for systems that produce predictable outcomes, and predictability comes from architecture. Architecture creates clarity. Clarity creates consistency. And consistency creates scalability. Franchising makes this visible faster than most business models because franchising requires replication. Replication exposes structural weaknesses immediately. If the business depends on the founder, replication breaks. If the business depends on instinct, replication breaks. If the business depends on personal relationships, replication breaks. Replication requires structure. Structure requires intentional design, and intentional design requires the founder to transition from operator to architect. This is the transition that defines scalable companies. Early on, the founder operates the business. They solve problems directly, they make decisions quickly, they respond instinctively. But growth requires a different role. Growth requires the founder to design systems that solve problems automatically. Systems that produce decisions consistently, systems that allow the business to operate independently, and independence is what creates the leverage. Leverage allows growth without proportional effort. Leverage allows expansion without proportional stress. Leverage allows the founder to move from being the engine of the business to being the architect of the system. And this transition changes everything because once systems carry the load, the business becomes scalable. Once the business becomes scalable, expansion becomes predictable. Once expansion becomes predictable, enterprise value begins to compound. This is why franchising is one of the most powerful scaling models in existence, because franchising distributes execution across independent operators while the franchisor provides the infrastructure, the systems, and the brand. When the infrastructure is designed correctly, expansion accelerates. Franchisees invest their own capital to expand the system, and each new franchisee increases the size and value of the platform. This is exactly what we focus on at Empire Franchising, identifying strong businesses with proven demand, then transforming them into scalable franchise platforms and building the architecture required for expansion. We build the architecture that allows the business to grow beyond the founder, architecture that allows the platform to expand across markets, architecture that creates independence, because independence is the foundation of scalability, and scalability is the foundation of enterprise value. And founders feel this transition when it happens. They feel decisions moving faster without their involvement. They feel clarity replacing confusion. They feel growth becoming smoother. And that's the signal the architecture is working. That's the signal that the business is becoming scalable, because scalability isn't defined by size. It's defined by independence. Independence allows the business to operate without constant founder intervention. Independence allows growth to compound. Independence allows ownership to separate from execution. And separation between ownership and execution is what creates true leverage. True leverage allows the founder to own the system instead of operating it. Leverage allows investors to participate in the platform instead of managing locations. Leverage allows enterprise value to grow beyond individual effort. And this is the shift that every scalable company must make, from dependence to independence, from effort to architecture, from operation to ownership. If your business is growing, but everything still depends on you, that's not failure, that's feedback. Feedback that the business is ready for its next level of design. Because every scalable platform you see today, every franchise brand, every enterprise company went through this same transition. This is the moment where growth required architecture, and the founders who recognized that moment didn't just grow their businesses, they redesigned them. If you want to understand exactly where your business stands, whether it's ready to franchise, ready to scale structurally, or ready to transition from founder-dependent to system-driven, then schedule a growth strategy session with us. Go to empirefranchising.com and we'll walk you through your business architecture together. We're also going to identify where your dependence exists and show you what needs to change so your business can scale beyond you. Because the goal isn't just to grow. The goal is to build something that grows beyond you.